Debit cards versus credit cards.
What's the difference?
Which to use.
When to use it?
And man, we'll be talking about all those topics in this video. My name is Kevin Hussein.
And I'm Michael Mordecai, and this is Tomorrow's Kingdom.
We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, kings and queens. Hey, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit that bell notification because it just updates you on future videos that we do.
And also, if you're part of the Kingdom family, drop a like and leave a comment down there. If you disagree or you agree with what we say, we appreciate the feedback and the support.
All right, man, so let's get into it, right? So, debit cards versus credit cards. Before we jump into it, right, most of us have a good grasp on what it really is. But for those of you that are still a bit unsure, debit card is simply put, swipe it, use your money. Credit card, using the bank's money. And pay it back, right? So, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. And before we even get into like which one's better to use, we was always taught, hey, don't use your credit card. Credit cards are bad for you. Credit cards will lower your credit score. Credit cards will put you in debt. But here we're going to kind of break down to why you should use credit cards more than your debit card and the reason why behind it. So with that being said, debit card versus credit cards, as you just found out, I pick credit cards. The reason why I pick credit cards is because you're not using your own money. That's the biggest reason. You're not using your own money. And a bigger reason behind that one is actually building up your credit score. That's only if you use it right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so what is a way that could actually use a credit card the right way?
One way to use your credit card correctly, right, is first acknowledging it as a tool, right? Now, like you said, most of us just went out there and just used it. I, for one, personal experience, use my credit card in a negative way, just charging. And not to put my personal stuff out there, but I've racked up $26,000 in debt on a single credit card. Damn. So obviously, I didn't know how to use it, right?
Yeah.
So I learned. So like I said, the first step is acknowledging it as a tool that you can use. So next step is looking at your credit card and figuring out, all right, you have a limit, right? It's a credit limit. Yeah. You have let's say you have a beginner credit card. Let's say you're 21, 22 years old. You apply for a credit card. They hit you with the, here's a credit limit of $1,000 with a 60% interest rate or something. Right? So usually credit bureaus, they look at you, they want to make sure that you're below 30% utilization. Remember that number. You want to stay below 30%. Yeah. So if you have a $1,000 limit, 30% is $300. Don't go over 300.
Yeah. Right. And everything that you use your debit card for, don't use your debit card. Use it for your credit card. Bills, your Netflix, your YouTube Premium, your Spotify. Me personally, I don't know why you have all those, but if you do have all those, keep it just attached to your credit card because you're using your own money when you use your debit card. If you use your credit card, like Kelvin said, you keep it underneath that 30% utilization, and now when your bank statement come, let's say your bank statement drop on the 15th of every month. So now that you're underneath that 30% and you're paying it off, the credit bureaus, they'll look at it and say, oh, okay, they're being responsible. Okay, so now you're actually building credit. And as the credit bureaus see it, they're like, oh, okay, you're doing a good job. They're more responsible.
Also, with like how you said with that statement date, that's very, very important, right? So another thing to remember is that you have a due date and you have a statement date, right? Now, your due date, everybody always knows is that, let's say, once again, you're 21, 22 or however, and you have a credit card, credit limit, you use it. Let's say you do good and you don't go above 300. You go to the groceries and this and that, and you racked up $300. So usually your average might be 2% of your balance owed, right? So let's say your minimum due comes in at $60. That's your due date. Minimum due $60. You pay the $60, right? So then usually a few days later you'll have your statement date. Now, all your statement date is what, like you said, they push that information out to the credit bureaus, right? So for those of you that's maybe a little bit more financially better, so you pay your $60, your minimum due, and then your statement date comes around, it goes out, they send the information to the bureaus,
Yeah.
and then you get your next check and you put an extra $60 down,
Yeah.
but not knowing that the information has already went to the credit bureaus. It does not report that extra $60.
Yeah.
So basically you just wasted that. Instead of holding on to it, wait till the next due date comes, and then you can pay a bigger chunk, and then when it's the new statement days goes out, it reports that you put down a little bit more.
Oh yeah, exactly. So with them two, well, with all those, which we call scenarios, examples, all them factors into play, why would you even want to use your debit card? Definitely you try to use your credit card a lot more to build up your credit. And also while you build up your credit, like Kelvin mentioned, your interest rate gonna be high. So I'll say once every 2 months, call your bank and say, hey, I'd like to request for my interest rate to be lowered. This is going to get lower just because they actually seeing your utilization and they actually seeing your maturity level. Actually, you staying underneath that 30% utilization and you actually spending, you actually use your credit card more. So request will have your interest rate lower. You might jump down from a 21% to a 17%. Hey, it's still a difference.
And with that, right? So that's another way to help you out. Another thing you can do is ask for an increase on your limit.
Yep.
So I wouldn't do this right away, right? I would, you want to try, if you just have a fresh credit card, or let's say you had a credit card for a couple of years now, but you had 50% utilization, try to put your focus on not using it anymore. Make your payments, figure out your 30% number, right? And get to that. Now, once you get to that 30% utilization, so you just keep making your payments. After a few more months, that's when I would hit up your bank, ask for a decrease in your interest rate, but also ask for an increase on your credit limit.
Yeah.
Because your credit limit directly affects your utilization. Same scenario, you have a $1,000 credit limit card, right? You at 30% utilization because you're using, you're up $300, right? So if you hit up your bank and you say, hey, you know what, I'd like to increase my credit limit. And they say, all right, cool, well, what you trying to go for? You say 3,000, right? Let's say, hey, man, you've been using it for, a couple months, couple years or whatever. They say, all right, cool, no problem, here you go. They bumped your credit limit up to 3,000. You still have the $300 owed, but now you're at 10% utilization. See how that works? Without you doing any single thing, without you paying extra money, without you sacrificing your Netflix subscription. You just, in one fell swoop, went to 10% utilization.
Yeah. Hey, that's great, man. So we already discussed which one to use and why, and how to use your credit card. But the how to use your credit card is the biggest thing that we want to get into, because a lot of people would use their credit card and overspend. Like I said, they'll go above that 30% utilization, and that will actually decrease your credit score, and that's where you become more in debt. And like Kelvin mentioned earlier, you'll have like a $26,000 balance.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah. And it's like I'm the opposite way. I wasn't using my credit card, so yeah, my credit score wasn't really being affected negatively, but it wasn't being improved. So I had to start using my credit card a lot more, and I had to become more responsible with using it, because I was using it as I was using my debit card. And my debit card, like Kelvin talked to me plenty of times. He's like, hey, stop using your debit card. You're just using your own money. You're just wasting your own money. He like, let this bank. Everybody always talk about, hey, I want to make my money work for me. Literally, how about making this bank money work for you? And so that's why I stopped with the debit cards, and I started using my credit card more. The old Visa commercial, hey, don't leave home without it. Hey, leave home without your debit card.
Yeah, man, leave that shit home.
Leave that shit home, and so actually
But with that being said, once you leave your home and you take that credit card out, you have to make sure that you're financially responsible.
Yeah.
If you go out to the mall, make sure when you go out there, it's for something that you need. not want, you need.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to, up your usage on your credit card for just stuff that you just want.
Yeah.
Right? You got to be financially responsible. Like he said, he was never using his credit card,
Yeah.
and his credit score was,
Yeah.
what was it?
Yeah. My credit score last year, if I remember correctly, I'll leave a screenshot. So it was like around 650-ish or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So now my credit score is like at a 766 or something like that. And actually, I'll still leave a screenshot for that also. I'm just saying, now that, listen to Kelvin, I started using my credit card more. Like, I'll stayed around the 650 range for over a year or something. Like I said, it was not decreasing, but at the same time, it wasn't improving.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I actually started using it, I became responsible using it, and I actually control my finances a little bit more. Okay, I'm like, all right, I don't really need this, and now I'm having more usage on my credit card. I'm still staying below that 30%. Now my credit score has actually jumped dramatically over 100 points just by me using my credit card more, being more responsible,
And just a year ago, I mean, like I already said, I had $26,000 in debt on one card, right?
Yeah.
So my credit score was around 680, something like that. But it was just like you said, it was there for years, right?
Yeah.
I was always making my payments, my high payments,
Mm-hmm.
Struggling to make those payments, But as I started doing all these techniques that we was telling you all about, leaving the debit at home, only using it for things that I need, groceries, then I would take the money out the debit card that I was going to use,
Yeah.
and just put that back onto my credit, slowly but surely bringing it down. I was able to go from I'll leave it right here, and I was able to get to a $7.99, right?
Yeah.
So just to let y'all know, man, whatever situation you is, if you're not using credit, if you're using too much credit, there's a way to break that barrier. And let's say you're at 600s like he was, or you're right there at the 700s. These little techniques can put you over the top.
Yeah, exactly, man. All right, that was great. That was a great point that you brought up, man. Hey, so let's break this down before we go into the pros and cons. We already talked about which one to use and why to use it.
And how to use your credit card, right?
Yes. But the biggest thing that we want to harp onto is self-discipline. I know we mentioned that while we was discussing, but discipline. That's the biggest thing. And for the younger guys out there, for the younger girls and guys out there who actually have a credit card with $1,000 credit limit, discipline is the biggest key. And like Kelvin mentioned earlier, you call your bank. You have $1,000 credit limit. Let's say you call them like, hey, I want a decrease in my interest or increase in my balance. And you get approved. So now they bump you up to a $1,200. But at the same time, you go to Foot Locker or wherever, you see, oh, the Jordans came out, $300. Do you really need it? Do you really need them Jordans? Is it really going to go above that 30% usage that Kelvin was talking about?
Yeah, and another thing also, right, with that self-discipline is just remember that the things you do today affect tomorrow, and the next month and the next year, right? The decisions you make now with your credit. We living in a day and age where credit is everything, right? I remember once upon a time, I tried to apply it for this home, right? Actually, no, it was what you call them things? Rental places, right? I tried to rent an apartment. This way back then. So I tried to rent an apartment. They run my credit, and I got disapproved because I was using my credit wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have no discipline back then.
Oh yeah, I mean I agree, because when I was in the military, there's this guy. He was a certain rate. I mean, rate is your job, what you're doing. He could no longer do that job because he lost his security clearance because his credit.
Yeah, man. So just remember, right, the things that you do today, right, the Jordans, the clothes, the Macy's, the makeup, those things, do you really need it? What's the bigger goal? Where are you trying to head to? What are you trying to accomplish in life or whatever, right? Maybe buy a house or, buy your parents' house so you could keep it in the family or something, right?
Yeah.
The decisions you do now directly affect that, especially with credit. Like I said again, we're living in a day and age where credit is becoming more and more valuable. It's your name, right? people don't care about what you did. You know, banks and companies and stuff, they look at your name as in your history, your credit, right? So
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you mentioned about the apartments. If you're young and you want to live on your own, do you really want to still use your parents as a co-signer for your first place? And no, you want to be more independent. You need to have a good credit score, because if you're 22, 23, you get your own place and you actually have a credit score of 700 and above at such a young age, oh yeah, they're going to definitely pick you above the next person to move into their apartment.
And my final thought on this before we continue with the pros and cons, right, is for those of you that have credit cards and, you know, Macy's cards and Amazon cards and all these different cards, right? Don't think that it's too late, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just realize what that card is you're going to be used for, where the utilization is on those cards. Stay below it and never close it out.
Yes.
Do not close your accounts out. Doesn't matter if it was 2, 3, 5 years ago that you opened that Macy's account. Just keep it, right? Because as soon as you close that as soon as you close that account, it affects a negative effect on your credit score, right? Trust me, been there, done that. Closed out a card, got a big hit on my stuff, messed up my history, and then I had to reapply for a new card because, you know, I was trying to go for this 800 credit score.
Mm-hmm.
Took another dip on that because I'm opening a new account.
Yeah.
And just the cycle continues. So if you already have open accounts, keep them open, bring the utilization down. Do not bring it down to zero. Do not pay off the credit card and keep it at zero balance and you're like, oh man, I feel good, you know, my credit limit is 1,000, but I brought it to zero and now you could just leave it at home and forget about it, because that also hurts you. You need to have history, credit history.
Yeah.
That's what the bureaus look for.
Yeah.
You think they don't care that you have a credit card with a zero balance that you're not using.
No.
You know. So with that being in mind, if you had a Macy's card, right, or an Amazon card, right, and it's at zero, just put a goal in your head that, you know, every month you'll just make one simple purchase.
Yeah.
Buy a book for like $12.
Well, yeah. I mean,
whatever.
if you have an Amazon card, Amazon deliver necessities. They deliver toilet paper. They deliver tissue. They deliver bleach in it. All the stuff that you need for your daily use at home, toothpaste, all types of things. So you can still continue to use your Amazon card for purchases. Like I said, you want to decrease your actual debit card usage and increase your credit card usage, but at the same time, discipline, being more responsible with it, because you don't want to get into debt by just trying to increase your credit score, because you can actually hurt yourself in the long run. All right, yeah. So with that being said, now let's break down the pros and cons. Debit cards, pros.
Oh, man, you know I don't like those.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Kelvin, man, he hate the word debit card. Like, we did so many takes where he like, I hate debit cards. But anyway, man, pros.
Yeah, you just irk me, man.
Yeah, I see that. But all right, debit cards do have a pro.
Yeah.
One of the pros with debit cards is you spend the money that you have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pro, right?
Because if you have no credit cards, right? If you're just up and coming, right, and you don't have nothing, right? No history, no nothing. You just have a debit card, you know, you got direct deposit, all your money going in there or whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the pro, right? I don't even like saying that, right? But here's the pro.
Yeah.
Pro is that, like you said, that's your money there. So if I was you, I would set aside maybe like 10, 20% every check. Set it aside, just don't use it. And let's say you get up to like $500 or $1,000 savings, I would go and open a secured line of credit with your bank, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could just take the money that's in there and open a secured line of credit, which means get a credit card that you're taking your $1,000 for to open, and then that's how you can start building credit.
Yeah.
So that's probably just one way that I would just think of.
Okay, well, hold on. With a secure line of credit, that's when basically you take your $1,000, you give it to the bank. So okay, this is your line of credit, but they give you an additional $1,000 also.
No, they basically just take your $1,000
Yeah.
and just give it back to you in the form of a credit card. So now when you swipe and you spend $500 off that 1,000, you shouldn't, right? You should spend 30%, which is $300.
Yeah.
Now you're basically just using your own money. However, you're building credit.
Building credit. Okay, so you're taking 1,000. So secure line credit is basically just using your own money and making it as a credit card form so you can build your credit.
Mm-hmm. Instead of just using it in your debit card, now you're using it in your credit.
All right, cool. So that's a pro. Do you have any more pros for debit cards?
Hey man, you need to take that. And that's all I got.
Nah, I mean, debit cards, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Especially when you start, because when you open your bank account, they're going to give you a debit card. So obviously you need some kind of cards to purchase if you purchase anything online. But like Kelvin said, you want to,
Okay, well, one pro would just be that you can make bigger purchases, right?
Yeah.
You could call your bank and say like, hey, I want to purchase a engagement ring or whatever for 3,000, and you could just say, hey, use your debit card. Because let's say you have a credit card for $1,000.
Yeah.
Well, obviously you can't go above that.
Yeah.
So with your debit card, you can make larger purchases. You can wire money, transfer. Some places don't take credit cards, right?
Yeah.
Some very few, but some still do.
Yeah,
I run into that,
Yeah. So debit card, not that bad. Debit card is bad. I'm just trying to make debit card seem a little bit more better, but.
So now, credit cards, pros and cons.
Oh.
All right, man, sit down, grab a chair.
But hey, credit cards have a lot of pros to it. Yeah, definitely have a lot of pros. The biggest pro is building up your credit. Obviously, you want to build up your credit. In the later years, you want to be able to, okay, hey, we're gonna have to do a credit check. No problem. I'm good. I'm sitting at 700. I'm okay. Run my credit. Because I've been utilizing my credit cards underneath the 30% utilization, and I've been looking at my FICO score, and I'm good. So run my credit score. So that's the biggest pro. Another pro?
Pros is with the limits, right? So let's say you get your credit cards, you have some good FICO scores, and then you increase your limits on your cards from 1,000 to 2 to 5 to 10. So now, as you grow as a person and you mature and you learn how to use your credit, you can then in turn start using your credit to make more investment purchases now, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing to get at, right? So the end goal is high FICO score, but also learning how to use your credit, the bank's money, to work for you. Remember, I want to use your money, use the bank's money. So in the future, if you get like a 20,000 credit limit, you can use that money to put it down on a house.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to use your credit as investment style now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've been harping on the 30% utilization. Let's say 1 month emergency happened or whatever, or they just going on vacation, they overutilize their credit card. Let's say they use it like a 60% utilization. Is that the end of the world for them?
No, man. No. You just know now. You just have to be more disciplined.
Yeah.
To bring it back down.
Yeah.
Right. You might have to transfer a little bit extra money from the debit. You might have to just focus a little bit more, but it's not the end of the world. No, we all been there.
And the debit card, and that's where the debit card come into play as a pro. Because if you not disciplined with your credit card the 1 month or 2 months, wherever you go above it, hey, you haven't been using your debit card. So now you have more money in your checking, so you actually been saving. So use your money that's in your debit card for an emergency.
And just while it was on my head, I was thinking about the cons for credit cards, which I don't like to think about. But the cons with the credit cards is the high interest rates, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
With that 26,000, I was in debt with that one card. They hit me with the double APR. Mm-hmm. Which was like 18% was the max, and then they hit me with a 23% on top of that. So, man, I was just making payments, out the where, right?
Yeah.
So, cons is interest rates. However, doing these techniques, keeping your utilization down, I was able to, keep my payments at a zero, right?
Yeah.
My minimum dues was at a zero because I was always paying a little bit extra with the due date, including with the statement dates and figuring all that out. And since October 2019, I maintain a $0 minimum due on my credit card.
Yeah.
So that's how you can get past that interest, right? Is if you know it's there, you know how to use it, you're staying below 30%, right? The interest, it's there, the high interest rate, but it won't affect you. Also, like he said before, you can lower the interest rate. Maybe you can do it maybe like, depends on your bank, maybe like once a year or twice a year.
Yeah.
You know, lower the interest rate, increase the limit,
Hey.
you know.
Hey, you can do it once or twice a year, but me, I called my bank. I called them. This literally just happened to me a few months ago. I called them. They said, hey, I said, hey, I would like to request a decrease in my interest rate on my credit card. So they ran one credit card, I got a decrease. They ran the other credit card, I was denied. The lady didn't even know why. I said, okay, all right. So I just took the one, but obviously the one that was decreased was the one I would utilize a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So the one that I had that I wasn't really using, they got denied. So I used that one. I used it a few times. I'm like, okay, wait like 2 months. I called them back and like, hey, I'd like to request a decrease in my interest. They said, oh, boom, approve. Just within a month or two, it was decreased. So definitely utilize your credit cards more, but be more responsible and disciplined when you're doing it. And you know, when you talk about interest rate, that was actually a pro with a debit card.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They don't have interest rate.
Yeah, right. But another big thing with the cons is the con for credit card is the biggest con, I believe, is yourself.
Oh, definitely.
That's the biggest con, you know. You won't con yourself with your own credit card if you don't know how to use it, if you're not disciplined, if you're not thinking maturely, if you're making wants purchases instead of needs purchases, you know. You could go down a dark road, you know, and it'll take a long time to get out of that.
Yeah.
There is a way out, but you'll have to work a little bit harder. So for the cons, just no matter what everybody always tell you, when you try to find secret way, you know, 5 tips to increase it, blah blah blah. The biggest con is yourself. You have all the tools. You can Google it. You can figure it out, but you need to be in control. All right.
Yeah, most definitely. And just to harp on that one more time, one of the biggest pros with credit cards is you could overspend, but still make that back up. You could overspend and still make that back up. If you overspend on your debit card, you can't tell your job like, hey, I overspent on my debit card, I need more money. No, that's where a personal loan come out and all this, whatever. So now you actually create yourself more debt with more bills just to try to make up for the money that you lost that was your money instead of utilizing the bank's money for you and paying them back. So just remember, the biggest pro
and the biggest con is yourself.
And also, once again, you like what you see, like what you heard, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and also do us a favor, man, hit that bell notification just so you can be updated on the new videos that we dropping every week.
You know, and if you have anything to say, negative or positive, man, we appreciate all the feedback. Just remember, you know, the things you do today affects tomorrow.
Peace.